Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pursuit of Relentless podcast. You've got your host here, Alaina. And today I have Michelle Nedelec with me, and she's going to talk to us about the marketing industry and how she got into it and all of that good stuff. She's also an author, and I'm going to let her tell you a lot about herself. But welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, how did you get started in marketing? Like, where did that come from?
Great question. So I started as an entrepreneur when I was 23, and I started up in Nunavik in the Northwest Territories with not one, but three businesses because, go big or stay home, right? So we had a tanning salon, we had a electronics store, and we had a bed and breakfast. And it was quite funny because that really was kind of the advent of the internet. And my partner at the time said, well, you're really smart. Why don't you get us a website and we can get more people up here through the bed and breakfast and being able to figure out the whole marketing end of things. And it was kind of funny because with the tanning salon, our phones were ringing off the hook, but they wanted their hides tanned, not their wives. So it was a little miscommunication there on what we were talking about with the tanning salon. And that's when it became very pertinent to me that your marketing message is everything. Like it's really easy to misunderstand one word, even though I had a very clear idea what that word meant. Other people had a very clear idea of something else that it meant.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happens in marketing all along the way. So we did a little calculation recently on some of the marketing that I've been doing and realized that I've actually had 28 career pivots in my life. Starting off with 3 helps to doing 3 things at once. But as I progressed through the entrepreneurial journey, I was really trying to figure out who I was, what I loved to do, because I'm interested in a lot of things. I was good at a lot of things, but I wasn't really great at a lot of things. And a lot of the things that I was interested in, it was purely that. It was just a passing interest. And what I was bypassing was what I was really good at, because I thought everybody was good at that. It's like the way I think, I can't stop myself from doing it. But it took me a while to realize that strategic thinking and marketing is really, it's almost innate to me. And a lot of people have to think about it rather difficultly when you're putting a business together. And I just wanted to be able to help them to take their ideas, what their interests were, and be able to strategize, how does this business actually come together? So fast forward the story, 2015, we had to make a pivot from the personal development realm and doing in-person sessions to something digital. And in the digital world, you have to have a thing that you teach. There has to be an end game of why somebody wants to go through your products, as opposed to throwing a wide net and going, hey, we'll catch everybody, figure out what they want to learn, and then educate them on it, which works great in the traditional world or the face-to-face world, but it doesn't translate online at all.
Right.
So we knew we were going to have to pivot. And at about that time, my partner in business and pleasure, as we like to say, was just finishing off one of his contracts. And he, for years, had done huge software build-outs for companies. So it was, the IBMs of the world, the Halliburtons, and he would have like 3-year projects, multi-million-dollar projects, figuring out, what are the resources we need? What kind of programmers do we need? How many servers do we need? And allowing them to create business software that would help these businesses to function better. So when I was kind of looking at that pivot and he wanted to get out of it, I was looking at the market and going, wow, like nobody likes to do the tech besides the techies. And the techies aren't necessarily out there doing the marketing and all that kind of fun stuff. So
my assistant's literally like, I don't put my face on Zoom. She's like, I put a picture up because she's like, I'm in my pajamas. You don't need to see me in my pajamas. I'm really good at marketing. I'm like, okay, cool. Like if that's what your forte is, I am not good at that stuff. So like, thank you for your skills. It's just so interesting to see that people thrive in such different areas, right?
Right. Well, and it really is how their minds work. And I feel really sorry for a lot of these poor VAs that are going, hey, go and figure out my CRM. And they're like, my what? Like, I will organize your calendar. I will organize your email, but don't stick me in the techie world. And And I appreciate it immensely because there's certain kind of people, like if we look at disc profiling, you have the decision makers that are just out there, usually the entrepreneurs, the crazy ones that are going, hey, I got this idea. We're going to do
Yeah, we're going to do these 18.
And then you have your huggy, lovey people that are going, I just want to make sure customer service is happy and, everybody's doing their thing. And then you've got the systems people that are organizing everything and, everything's color coordinated. Everything's right there where you need it, when you want it. And then there's the techs, and the techs are very abstract thinkers. They like to be in other planets, other universes, doing their thing, and creating kind of a workflow for us so that, the crazy ideas that we have can actually be implemented and they have some legs to stand on. So I had been taking courses on how to do this online thing, which is kind of funny because I'm actually a computer programmer before my personal development career started. But the online world was different. So, and the software changes all the time. So my coaches were saying, hey, you need to have this software, you need to have a learning platform, you need to have a shopping cart, and so I created what I love to call Frankenware. And poor Frank and I had a love-hate relationship, and because he'd get an update somewhere and he'd start popping an eye and losing a limb. And I was fortunate to be able to get Brad to take over for me. So I said, they just take this on. And he's like, what the hell have you created?
What is this?
Mass. I'm like, that's what they told me to do. I don't know. I just need it done. I don't have time. I got to go speak. Don't have time to work. I got to go speak.
Yeah. Please help.
So he took that over. He found a software that did all of it to his content. He said, can I change? And I absolutely, you do whatever your heart desires, as long as I don't have to touch it. And he goes, it'll do everything you want it to do. So I have the capacity to make it work. So great. Awesome. So as we're looking around the other speakers that are in these courses, trying to figure out how to get their stuff online, we realized that nobody liked doing the tech side of things. And I said, well, why don't we just pivot to a tech done for you? Because we understand the industry, we understand business. You've been doing this for years for multi-million-dollar corporations. Let's just do it for the little guys. And by little guys, I mean anybody under 20 million. And helping them get their systems in place and done for them. So that's what we decided to do. And we work with clients that are solopreneurs who are just starting the business. We have one client, she's amazing. She was super successful in the sales world and doing training, but she had no list of her own. She had no following. She had no social media presence, nothing. Started from scratch, but she had the wherewithal to know that she didn't want to do the tech herself. Right. So we worked with her to get her set up. She did her first 3-day event 2 months after she started her business and made $40,000 at that event. And then at the end of the year, she made $100,000 at her third event. And she's made $500,000 this year, and she's on track to making $1 million next year. So it's not about where you are in business. It's not about kind of how you set up the business. It's all about what you want to create in the end. And sometimes coaches go, I just want 10 clients at 10 grand a year. I am a happy camper. Great. You need a cell phone and a merchant account. You take the visa over the phone, you're done. But you get the special kind of crazies who want to have,
big life,
50 employees. And I want to have 10 different programs and I want to have them cross training. And it's like, okay, so you've created this wake of tech issues behind you and you don't even know it. You're just going forward. And so we come in behind entrepreneurs like that and just get the tech done for them so that they can focus on what they're good at and steering the boat.
That is amazing. And I love that you're just like, no, we're just going to step into like what we're good at. And I think that's where a lot of people mess things up. They try and do everything all at once. And they're like, I can do everything. And I'm like, no, you can't. Nor should you, right? Like you might be able to, but it's going to take you way too much time. Yeah. And I'm like, don't you want a life? Like having a life is a big deal. And I know a lot of people who are just like, all I want is work-life balance. I'm like, then you need to delegate. You need to delegate some stuff.
Yes.
And my last episode that we did, it was literally talking about delegation and like helping recognize your people in the area that they're good at. Because Stephanie is good at so much that I'm not good at. Tara, awesome at stuff that I'm not good at. Kyle, really good at stuff I'm not good at. So if I'm just like, I'm awesome all the time, I'm lying to myself because I'm like, no, I couldn't do it without them. Right. And I sit there and I look at people that are starting out. And I think that is one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they don't ask for help. They don't put the right people in place that they need in order to get to where they want to be. So
absolutely. We used to have a thing called a revenue generating activity calculator. And it was basically identifying all of the things that you do in a day. And if you were to hypothetically hire out those jobs, how much would it cost? And if you were to hypothetically do all of those things, how much would you make off of doing those things? Mm-hmm. So you quickly realize that admin is an expense, not a profit-making area in your business. Mm-hmm. Sales is obviously a moneymaker. And but then you go through it. And so now you have this kind of expenses and profit sheet. And then you can identify the ones that you absolutely love to do or the ones that make you the most amount of money. And initially you may have to focus on that so that you can hire the other people that did the thing. But most people start to realize that their revenue generating activity can make them thousands of dollars an hour. Yeah. And they're doing jobs that you could pay somebody $150 an hour or even $15 an hour to do.
Yeah, I was going to say like $20 an hour. Most people are pretty happy.
Well, and it depends on what the task is, but yeah, like if you're going through your email and reading every single thing so that you have zero input, that's not a job that any business owner should do. No entrepreneur should be doing that. That's you either set up the rules and have things get cleared out into their different folders, or you have somebody go in and do that for you, mm-hmm. or you have somebody go through your emails and figure out what's important, what do you actually have to respond to. Same with social media. Mm-hmm. It's not something you have to do. And for the most part, I mean, that's easy enough that, you can hire somebody that's your first job and they're going to be half decent at that. But if they're organized and they're a specialist at it, oh my God, it's like, that is like angels waving their wings in front of you. It's like, yeah.
You're like, thank you for being amazing. Yeah. So the lady who sold my house, she was the assistant of the realtor that sold my house. And I just found out that she like moved and then like needs a job. And I was like, oh, I'm for sure going to hire you. Like you were fantastic to deal with. And it's just hard to find sometimes when you're just like, I know that this person's going to align really good with my team and my mission and like what I'm trying to accomplish because of the way that they held themselves in a professional environment. But there's a lot of people out there that are just learning and just starting out that are also really open to just learning what they need to do to get to the next place that they want to go. And that's great too. It's like the stepping stone, and that's okay. But you also really want to have that key person or that key team that can help you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Oh, we had a kitty. I was like, I hope no one can hear my dog barking in the back, but you might. Ellie's my love. She's adorable. But I have a Rottweiler and she's just like chilling over there. But sometimes she goes a little crazy when she sees people walking past the house. So that's how it goes. Whereas
you're not allowed to walk past her house. See, and Rotties are so good at that. They know their job intuitively and nobody could stop them. Their job is to protect the house, and that's what they will do. Yeah.
It will.
And they're lovely.
Sit right beside me. And it's like, oh, something's off. And she's just like on it. She's like, I got this. There's a person walking down the street. I see them. They're over there. Right. I'm like, Ellie.
And you are safe.
Yeah, you're okay. There's glass between us. Like they're not trying to kill me. It's okay. And she's just like, I'll protect you. But then she's like, okay, I'm good. And you're like, I don't understand why you're freaking out right now, but okay. Just pet them. You're fine.
It's a joke.
You're good. And then she goes and sleeps in my husband's chair, and he's like, that's supposed to be my chair. I'm like, no, that's Ellie's chair. Like, let's be real. It's so funny. Pets are fun. Like everyone needs a pet.
Right? We adopted a dog from the SPCA last April, and I realized that he was slightly crazy, and we think possibly somewhat feral.
Oh.
And I was in tears almost every night going, oh my God, this dog is insane. What have I done? And now, like 6 months later, he has done a complete 180. He's fabulous, super lovable, super smart, like just amazing dog. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Thank God that we could both see something in each other. Despite.
Oh man, Ellie has helped me get through so much shit. And like, she just knows. She knows when you're off. She knows when you need a hug. She knows when you're just like, just sit with me, you know, like what? I don't know. But she literally sleeps right there.
That is awesome. We had a
Mensa, love it. She's my girl.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you need in your team. That's your first teammate they should hire out, in the love and affection of your security guard.
I tried to write her off. My accountant said I can't. I was like, but she is a guard dog. Like I mean,
get a new accountant.
Oh no, I have
get a new accountant. If she's in charge of security, if you don't have a security system, she is your security system, and you work from home.
That is true.
Yeah. Good. If you had a compound and you hired a dog, the dog is an expense. It's security. Same thing in your house.
That's good to know. I will talk to her again about that.
Well, find a different accountant. No offense to your accountant, but find a different accountant.
Yeah, definitely. Having a good accountant is a big deal.
Unless it's your mom, in which case you kind of stuck.
It is not my mom. My mom would not. She's too much. So my mom was a nurse's aide my whole life. And now she's retired, and she just bought herself a puppy, actually. And she's like, oh, it's a lot of work. I'm like, you bought a puppy. Yeah, you should have bought a 4-year-old dog that was already lazy, you know? But no, you bought a puppy. And she's like, she bites me all the time. I'm like, well, bite her back. You know, like, I don't know. You got to figure out.
Yeah, actually, that is what works.
It does work. Well, what would her siblings do? What would her mom have done? Right? Exactly. Bite her back. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's pretty funny though.
Sounds weird, but it's true.
Your old mother just be like, I can't do that. That's mean. I'm like, well, her biting you's mean too. So you got to teach her the lessons. I'm like, come on, you were a hardcore mom. She raised all entrepreneurs. I think it's awesome.
Wow.
Like, mom, 4 kids. Every single one of us is a business owner.
Nice.
Isn't that crazy? I'm like, how did that even happen? Like, you don't hear about that kind of stuff. Normally there's like the one person in the family who goes and starts their own business, but all of us went the business route because we learned work ethic from her. She worked 3 jobs when we were growing up. Like,
nice.
She was always busy, and it just taught us to be really independent. So, and to not like settle for less than what we know we're worth. So I think that, thanks, Mom. Appreciate that. Right. It's a big deal. But
that is a big deal. And I think that
go ahead.
Entrepreneurialism is one of those things where you can have a good work ethic, you can be independent and think your own thoughts and go after them. And even when you're that special kind of crazy and everybody's going like, why would you do it that way? Because I think it'll work better.
Yeah.
You go after it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about building systems around your business and stuff. Like when you have a system for every single thing that you do, it's so much easier. And it's like, oh, so hard to think of systems, but it's not. I was talking to one of my agents today, and she's like, I just have to create balance. I'm like, okay, so what are you using for a scheduling tool? And she's like, like, that's your first, that's it. Yeah. She's like, but I can't really like run a schedule around. She's an 8-month-old. And I'm like, yeah, so do a power list. Like, grab one of Andy Frisella's books and do a power list. That's 5 items a day. It doesn't matter what time of day you do it, right? But if you're like, okay, I need to accomplish these 5 tasks today, and I've been successful. Like, that is me saying I'm successful today. And she's like, that's a really good idea. I was like, yeah, I do it all the time because I am not that organized. And that's what I pay her for. So it helps me stay organized. But I think that when you're building systems into your business, it takes away a lot of the stress that you have that's, I'm going to say, self-inflicted if you don't have a system. But I'd love your knowledge on systems through your marketing and in your business in general.
Well, and I think anything we do is a system. It just appears a little more chaotic from the outside sometimes. But chaos in itself is a system. And when you understand that, then you start to realize that you start to question, what am I going to systemize? It's not that I have to find a system that I fit into. It's that I have to figure out what works for me. And then how do I start to duplicate it, automate it, delete it, whatever, the 5 Ds that have to get done. What are you going to do with that? So as my dad used to say, once is an accident, twice is a mistake, 3 times is a habit. As soon as you've done something 3 times, you want to automate that so that if you're saying the same thing to your prospects, well, then put it into a post, put it into an email in your nurture campaign. If you say it to your clients when you onboard them every time, put it into your onboarding process. It's not that systemizing is, I have to sit down and I have to figure out how I want to do this. It's no, you got to figure out what you're doing that's working and then systemize that.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that somebody can look at that process and then take it on themselves. Even if they're not particularly good at it, they will at least be half decent at it because they have some layout of how you did it and be able to build on that. When it comes to automating those things, it's putting them into computers. So you're either writing it down, you're recording it somehow audio, or you're doing video, and then putting that into some sort of system that will allow people to be able to access that information when they want to, not when you're available, because you're not going to always be available. And as soon as you start getting more clients on scale, like 1-on-1 is fine, but then 1-on-2, 1-on-10, and 1-on-20, 1-on-100, it's like all of a sudden you don't have the capacity to be able to do those things yourself anymore. And 100 people want you all the time. That's just not feasible.
No.
So you want to be able to make sure that they're getting the access they need when they need it, and that you're doing the fun and creative things that makes being human fun. It's those spontaneous conversations. It's those creative conversations. It's those things that you can't automate because you haven't come up with them yet. But then it allows you to be able to do those things, which is way more fun.
Yeah. And I think that when you're going into those conversations with yourself, you don't have to be like, what should I automate? You'll naturally see it. You'll see what you can automate. Exactly. You'll see that you can plan social media posts. That's a thing you can do. You can pre-schedule as well. Like that takes a bunch of work off your plate, because then if you're like, okay, I know this month I need 28 social media posts. What am I talking about in those 28 social media posts, right? Whether one of them will be my podcast post, one of them will be something to do with my financial business, one of them will be something to do with my family or my personal life, aka me walking my dog is usually what it is, because you don't necessarily think about taking photos during your day of the things that you're doing, right? But that's what people want to see. And when it comes to a lot of new business
especially
owners,
when you're filling out financial forms or
I don't do that.
Right?
Like my assistant does all that, thankfully, but
and you're like, no, we're not gonna take pictures of that.
No. Well, no, clearly not. But like recording a podcast, I can't take a photo of myself, like that's not a thing, but I can screenshot my computer and be like, hey, we did it. It's just being able to put yourself in a place where you're thinking about your next steps. And if you can automate it and you can make it so that you don't have to think about it, do that. It'll be, so one of the things that I think every business owner needs is a password keeper. And I'm like, why don't people use password keepers? I'm like, how do you remember?
I don't know. How did they survive without them is what I want.
I'm like, why? Why would you do that? Like, why would you try and remember passwords? If you don't have to remember passwords, I'm like, I'd rather fill my brain with people's names than try and remember the password that I have to change every 60 days. Like, no. But people hesitate, and I'm like, why are you hesitating? Like, just do it. It'll save yourself so much time and effort. And it's just one of those things that I'm like, just do it. Oh, my internet's being fun now, isn't it? Dang. I hope it's okay. There we go.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah.
All right.
Your audio's good. There you go.
Yeah, I haven't lost audio.
So yeah, there might have been a couple of times when we talked over each other because there's a delay, but
yeah, sorry about that. It's so funny because I've been hotspotting off my phone, and yet I'm like, is it still? No, it switched back to my other internet. Oh, I love the internet sometimes.
Technology, right?
Why must you be so challenging? I'm like, my hotspot's on and yet it disconnected. I'm like, how do you disconnect when we're mid-conversation? Anyways, gotta love technology. That's how it goes sometimes.
Right.
So thank you for that conversation. I think making automation happen is a big deal. How have you found building leaders in your company throughout the pandemic, or since working from home, since you're in a little bit more of an online environment and you can't necessarily be with people all the time? Have you noticed a big difference when it comes to your ability to build leadership, or maybe some tips on how to build leaders in this new era of the world?
Well, and I think a few things in business have changed along the way. Back in the 80s, there was very much a daunting conversation about the stuffed shirts. And people were very much, this is all about business. You have to be here. You have to show up on time. You have to be looking like you're working. You may go to the water cooler every once in a while, but I don't want any fraternizing there. And it was all really
Stuffy.
kind of energy that nobody really liked being in, but they thought it was productive. And thank God Google came along and went, oh, we're going to have tennis tables. You're going to go downstairs and play. We want you to be creative. We want you to get rid of the stress so that you can think more actively, understanding that, your creative abilities and your frontal lobe kick in when you're in a lower stress situation. So you can be in a high stress situation, but you have tools and techniques to be able to lower that stress. And then all of a sudden the millennials came along and it was like, hey, we want to know what's going on in business. And all of a sudden we have these open concepts of, who's doing what, when, where, and how much are they making and what are they good at. And I think it's created an awesome workspace in that in our company, we've basically abolished the org chart. I run the creative side of the company and my partner runs the tech side of the company. But that just means that if you have a question on the creative side, you come to me. And if you have a question on the tech side, you go to him. And all of our people are specialists in the things that they do. And we work as a team. So if somebody goes in, we have everybody as kind of a project manager for a client that has the wherewithal to be able to know who needs to do what. And then they go back to the team and they say, hey, we need a website design. Hey, we need campaign written for this. Hey, we need the campaign set up for this. There's a problem with their website. Can you go and check that out? And, it's total tech. So we know who specializes in what and who to go to.
Right.
And everybody kind of has equal stature in the company in that we just happen to be keepers of some sort of knowledge, not necessarily that we have this reporting grid. And that works incredibly well in that it empowers people right from the get-go to be the go-to person. It's like people are going to come to you and they are going to ask you questions. You might not know the answer. And in fact, I expect that you won't know the answer, and that's okay. But you're going to go and do some research on it, or you're going to go and find the person that knows more than you do and ask them. But it's really about the team activity of what's going on and empowering people to become the specialists in their area. Understanding, especially in the world of tech, that things change hourly.
Yeah.
And we have to have a way to be able to be on that, and understanding that certain clients work with certain software. We're going to have some flexibility there and learn how that thing works. We're going to have some flexibility in that, yes, I get it. Websites have been around forever and they almost always operate in this manner, but they break, they get overloaded, the servers fry. Stuff happens, and we just want to be able to, how do we troubleshoot in that arena without saying, hey, that was your fault? It's never anybody's fault. It's just, this is happening. Okay, great. What do we do about it? Can anybody fix it? And, is there a best way to circumnavigate this issue right now and carry on? Because as you know, sometimes your internet just blows out. Sometimes things just happen.
Just happened. But
right.
The thing is, even if we leave that in, that's real. Like, you can't.
Right. It's perfect.
It's like, yeah, my dog's barking right now. I don't know why Ellie is barking right now, but she is. Right.
So somebody's walking by and they look really threatening in that pink coat.
Oh my goodness. There she is. She's just gone.
I love it. I love it because I've been living in silence for so long that when I get to go on Zoom calls and hear the noise, like that just makes me happy. That's another thing about leadership. So is when we're in team meetings and things and the kids come by and they're like, mom, I need you now. We need dog food. It's like, we don't need dog food right now. This can wait. But, and I just love seeing them. They're awesome.
Yeah. But that's the cool part.
It's life.
So one of the favorite things that I love about my financial business is the fact that our leadership is 100% family oriented. So they invited us down to Monterey to do a like growth conversation, right? We're talking about net worth mindset and growth and personal development. And one of the days that we went, so it was a 4-day event, one of the days fully was on relationships and building a strong family foundation. And they had all of the business leaders that are making like millions of dollars a year in the business come up with their spouses and go, how do you guys work things? I was like, I love this because my husband has zero desire to do finance. Like that's not his thing. And it's not for everybody, right? Just like being a heavy equipment operator is not for everybody. I tried it, didn't like it, almost died a lot. So he's very good at that. He's like, Alaina, I just like pushing dirt. I like moving the earth. He's like, I am making a difference in the world every day. I'm like, yeah, you're producing the oil, right? We all need oil. We all need plastics. We all need fuel for our cars, right? And
every time I go by them, I'm like, I want to do that one day. That would be so awesome. I think it looks so much fun.
It's fun for 3 months. And then it's a lot less fun. Yeah, especially
I got my forklift operator's license just for
forklift was
fun.
So fun. Yeah, I used to drive 797. So 797 is a 400-ton rock truck, pretty much. And they are larger than my house. And I have a photo. Yep. I'll show you guys if you message me on my website, alainanedec.ca or .com, either or works. But it's so funny because I have this photo in front of my haul truck and I'm over 6 feet tall. And I'm like this big, like just minuscule in front of these trucks because they have 13-foot tires, right? So just
I was going to say, you're not even really halfway up the tire at that point.
No, it's crazy. Like you can't even like you could like sit in the tire and just like hang out, right? But it's 16 stairs up to the deck. And then you go in the cab and the cab is like a matchstick box. It's so tiny, and you're just like, and my legs are really long. I did not fit in there. I'm not that good of a driver and I don't do well on night shifts. So I'm like, this place is not for me.
Not for me.
Oh, goodness. Oh, there's so many PTSD situations there. I'm like, I almost died so many times. And everyone's like, how come you quit operating? And I was like, because I was terrible at it. I really was no good at it. So why not do something that I'm good at, that I actually enjoy, that gives me freedom and flexibility to do what I want? I'm like, that makes me way happier. I'm going to chase happiness.
Absolutely.
Instead of money, And
exactly.
guess what? Money comes.
Yeah, waitressing was always my go-to career. And I was awful at it. The best times I ever had was the day I quit and I'd do somebody a favor and just take care of one table. Then it was awesome.
Yeah. No,
like you can't make money that way. That's not how you do this.
So they used to call the entrance to get in because you'd have to scan your badge and it would literally be like a rotating, like, I don't know, like a candy ball machine, and you're just like, what is this? They call it, what was it? The cattle gates. And I was like, how degrading is that? Like the cattle gates. I'm like, I am 184,146 to them forever. And then I am not Alaina.
Get a little ear with a little number on.
184,146. And they tell me if I've taken too long on my pee break, and it's just like late break. And then you get yelled at and I'm like, no, that's not the kind of recognition I want. I want trophies and like, I want good recognition where they're actually like, good job. You did awesome. I'm like, thanks. Versus going, you almost killed someone. I'm like, I know. But that's why I'm not cut out for that. But guess what? Lots of people aren't. And they do it anyways because they have to. And so my thing is I'm sitting here going, I started this podcast for the people who don't want to be there anymore. I started this podcast to inspire people through education to try something different, because finance is not going to be for everyone. Marketing's not going to be for everyone. Not a lot of people fit in every career, right? So when you feel right and you know that that's where you belong, you should pursue that. And
absolutely,
that might not mean that you're going to be a multi-millionaire, but you're
going
going
to be happy.
Yeah, you're going to be happy. And happiness is so much better. You can definitely scale that, right? So,
right?
Yeah, it's very different. But anyways, I digress.
You're preaching to the choir, girl. I'm right there behind you. I think that entrepreneurs are going to save the world, because in order to be a good entrepreneur, you have to focus your attention internally. You can no longer expect external circumstances to be able to save you and to build your business. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
You don't get
and when you learn to focus on yourself and you are the focus of or locus of control of everything that happens in your life, your space changes immensely. You start to glow. You start to get more confident. You start to understand why you're on the planet and all of the wonderful, juicy things that you bring, so that, it's just being in somebody's presence that they love and admire you and want to pay you money because you make a difference just by being there, not because of you're doing anything, not because of any of it. They just want your presence and the thing that it's just like, breathing air to you. And when you get to that spot, that's where kind of the nirvana hits. So yeah, I'm a huge advocate of entrepreneurialism and making sure that everybody, if they want it, has the opportunity or the wherewithal to just go after it anyways, even if they don't have the money, they don't have the support.
Like when I first started in my financial firm, I was $100,000 in debt. And I couldn't afford to start the business. And I was like, I couldn't afford the licensing.
Why not to?
Right? And I was like, what can I do here? I had to get creative. I asked one of my friends, I asked my family, just like, okay, I got to figure this out. And I did it. Right. And then it's like, okay, well, my agent code is 649 UC. And I'm like, oh, so I hit the lottery when I started working with this firm, because it literally is in my agent code. 649 UC.
Right.
So I'm just sitting here going, oh, okay, no one else has that code. You see?
649 UC.
Yeah. So I'm just like, wow, it is so inevitable that I was meant to be in this company, because so many people that I sit down with are like, I just gonna win the lottery. And I'm like, what's your backup plan? Like we need to have a backup plan, because I didn't have one. I didn't have a world-class financial education in school. I didn't learn how to be an entrepreneur. I learned how to go to work. I actually am a Red Seal pastry chef by trade, for people who don't know that about me. That was my original passion. My grandparents called me Cookie, and so that might be on a pop quiz one day if people need to know my childhood nickname.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, it's so funny. But so I went into pastry school and I got a scholarship to go to pastry school for free. And I was like, all right, this is a sign. I got to do it. It led me to where I'm at now. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to be the world-class baker. And because I'm super creative as well. And I love the medium of sugar. I do very well with molding and sculpting.
Right.
Yeah, I love sugar. Sugar's fun. It's fun to play with. But then,
oh my God, we have to hang out. That was so much fun.
I was just getting people fat and giving people diabetes. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's not making an impact on the world for a better, I'm like, yeah, I make people smile, but then I also am not helping them. And that's a big thing to me. So I gave it up and I was like, I got to chase what I actually feel like I'm passionate about, is helping people. Nice. And so when I went into finance, and I was like, we got to fix the financial education system. It is not good. So now I'm getting into schools and I'm talking to kids and I'm getting them prepped for what's coming and just teaching them that life is going to be really hard and they have to prepare for it. Because I'll tell you, how many people do you think at the beginning of COVID had 3 to 6 months income saved?
No,
probably no one. There's definitely some. There's definitely some. But not enough.
Some.
Yeah.
Some. Out of everybody, some.
Yeah, maybe 5 to 10% of people, right? But outside of that, in Canada, not many people are doing that great. And so I became
and they certainly don't have the education and the wherewithal to do it. I know when I got out of when I moved out of home and went into university, I asked my sister, like, how do you pay utility bills? Like, how do they know where you live? And it's like, well, you have to register with them where they're going to deliver the utility to, and then they know your address. And it just, like, none of it made sense to me at that time. And I just couldn't put the pieces together. And like, so do I have to call everybody and set up all my bills? And she's like, yes.
Yeah.
I just didn't know, right? I'd never done that before, let alone the rule of 72, let alone.
I love that you know what the rule of 72 is. Yay. Huh? That makes me so happy because I just sit here and I go, wow, we have a big job to do. And I sit here and I go, no pressure, Alaina, like you're going to be fine. You're going to grow a big agency and it's going to be awesome. And it's happening, right? It's happening and it's compounding now. But on my vision board, so I have my top 25 dreams and goals list like right in front of me. And one of the things on there is to, it says build a school with useful curriculum and hire legendary teachers, right? Because I'm like, they deserve to get paid so much more money than they get paid right now. Because think about it. Think of how expensive childcare is in Canada. Very expensive, especially in Fort McMurray where I live. Think of what a teacher gets paid. And I'm like, but their childcare times 10, because they're actually in charge of molding their brains. I'm like, so why are they making half as much money as the childcare workers are?
Yeah.
That's messed up.
It is messed up. Well, and the curriculum with which they do pay, because, well, here's my bias, because it's all union, is they're not paying the ones that are enthusiastic and loving their job. And like if kids had a credit system where they could come into school and say, oh my God, that lesson was awesome, I would totally pay X amount of credits for that. And encourage the teachers to actually get the kids involved and actually teach them something. Those are the ones that they just go in because they love their job. They love what they do. They love their little aha moments that the kids are giving them. And I think those ones particularly need a way to be able to be acknowledged and improved, and because they make a huge difference, massive difference, as opposed to the ones that just go in and here's your assignment, read your book.
Like, so I had a chemistry teacher named Mrs. Balzer growing up, and she seriously changed my life. And I hope she knows that and like made such a big impact. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't go into chemistry. Like, I'm no chemist. But I went into pastry, and you know what pastry is? Chemistry. It's chemistry.
Totally, 100%.
So she helped me find that passion in myself that I liked learning about the molecular structures and like how things change each other when you incorporate them together. And I was like, that's where that passion came from. And then Mr. Formosa was such a great math teacher. And I just sit there and I'm like, wow, I could go back to Formosa's class and know that I was going to get an A in it because I was really good at that stuff. And then I'm like, oh, so that set me up now for where I'm at today. I still use calculators all the time. You don't have to do it in your brain to know that this number is bigger than this number, right? You want the one with the bigger number. Big time.
Right? So rule of the day, or the takeaway from this podcast is, if you had a teacher that made an impact on you during school, write them a letter. They love it. All of the teachers that I kind of, that are my friends, are retiring now, and they love getting the letters from people going, oh my God, I loved your class and I've become a blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what? That's awesome.
But I think that's why most teachers do what they do, is the love and connection side of things.
Exactly. So reinforce them. People. They love it.
Yeah. So tell them that you love them, that you appreciate them. But anyways, I could talk about this for hours, but we're unfortunately out of time. So I want people to make sure that they can get more access to you. So how can people access you?
Awesome. Well, I'd love to give them a free gift if I can.
Oh, yes.
So we'd love to give them a website audit. Awesome. And you go in and you put in your website. It'll take about 15, 20 minutes, depending on the size of your website. It actually goes through and scrapes your website. So it gives you back a 30 to 50 page report telling you what all your green light, yellow light, and red lights are. So the Google gods are out there and they're giving you green lights are your traffic is a go. Congratulations, you've done this right. And people can see those pages. Things that are yellow, Google is slowing the traffic down because doesn't have the stickability. So there's certain things that they're looking for to have a user experience, and your yellow lights, you can go through and figure out what those are and just make a few changes. Pretty easy stuff. They may give you some red lights, and the red lights usually involve acronyms like SSLs and DMARCs. So at the end of that report, I'll give you a link to connect with me. You can set up a time to meet with me and I'll translate it into English. The report itself is worth $500, and then you get my time on top of that. So absolutely would love to connect with you and help you to build your business.
Thank you so much. And what's your website?
awarenessstrategies.com, and you go to /website-audit, and you'll go directly there. And we do have links.
Beautiful. I'll drop that in the show notes for you guys as well, and make sure that you reach out to Michelle with all of your marketing needs. I, again, appreciate your time today. And I know that people got a ton of value out of today and a few laughs with our crazy animals. It's awesome. Fun internet. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. And like I said, if you get value out of today's show, make sure that you share it with a friend. We are 100% holistically grown, and we grew 54% last year, which is amazing because of you loyal listeners. And I appreciate you all for listening and sharing. I see you, I hear you, and I want to know what you want to know more about. So reach out at pursuitofrelentless@gmail.com. Or on my website, there's a contact page on there as well, where you can drop your questions in there too. So until next time, that's Pursuit of Relentless signing out. You guys have a great day.